How's it going, everybody? Jason here, and today I'm going to show you how I turned this
Nowhere to go but to you. All alone, the sun's on. All you want is not done.
into this. How's it going, everybody? I'm Jason, the producer at Clever Dude Productions, and welcome to the first episode of Inside the Mix. Nice. Way to make it sound bigger than I'm just some dope in a basement making music. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. By the way, what's up with the outfit? Well, you're not the one that has to edit this, so to deal with the masking and making sure the lighting and everything is good, I don't want to have to worry about changing outfits too. Yeah, fair. So before we get into it, why should anybody keep watching this video? I mean, no one's heard of you, no one's heard of the band, you've got about 500 streams on all the channels, so why would anybody want to keep watching this? Yeah, totally. Agree 100%. I mean, there's, what, 30, 40,000 songs added on Spotify alone every month. So breaking through and getting your song listened to is pretty hard. But if you did listen to the introduction and you heard what the original acoustic was like and then what it turned into, this video I'm going to walk you through exactly that, but from a producing perspective. Yeah, so tell people what it is exactly that you're going to kind of walk them through in this video. Well, I'm going to go through things like talking to the band. What's the story they wanted to tell? What's the emotion that they wanted to have come through with the song? And then, you know, I don't have a background in music theory, but when I listen to that song over and over again, and when we're playing it and practicing it, I hear just kind of what it could turn into. So part of producing is just having that kind of sixth sense, if you will, to really hear what the song could turn into. And then, you know, I don't even remember how many different kind of demos I did with different ideas to send over to them to try to figure that stuff out. Yeah, right on. Want to head into the studio? Yeah, totally. Let's go. What? Don't you have to leave first? No. Because if I walk in front of you, won't I mess up your masking? And you know, you can just leave on that side, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. All right, so hopefully that was a good enough introduction to keep you interested in this. I know it's no fun when it's not a popular song, but, you know, sorry, I'm not Rick Beato. What do you want me to say? So what I'm going to do for this video, like all my videos, there's going to be detailed timestamps in the description below so you can skip to the parts that you might be most interested in. And I'm going to leave a couple of other links down there. One will be the original acoustic recording, and the other will be the full-blown production version. So I'm going to break this video into a couple of parts. The first part will be the song structure, the songwriting and recording process that we did for this, and the second part of the video will be all of the production stuff. So the structure of the song is pretty simple. There's an introduction, verse, chorus, solo, bridge, a double chorus, and then a fade out. So the way it was recorded, and if you check out the acoustic version in the description below, James, the bass player, wrote it, so he put it up on YouTube, and basically the structure was already done. So throughout this whole process, the structure of the song didn't change because it all worked. So as far as the actual recording part, so when James did that recording with the video, sent it around, everybody kind of worked on their parts remotely, and then when everybody came together, that's when we just sort of went through and made sure that the structure was what we wanted it to be. So now because James did this and he's the bass player, him and Eric, who is our other guitar player, actually switched. So when we played this live, Eric plays bass and James plays guitar. And when we were getting ready to record this, we were kind of between guitar players, I guess. So our other guitar player had moved to California, so thanks a lot, dude. And so when we were practicing and playing this thing live, there was really only that one guitar part. There was nothing else added to it. So I recorded the drums here in my studio and then went to James' house to record the acoustic guitar. And then Eric came here to record the bass, and Sherry came here to record the vocals as well. So we started recording this just before lockdown, and then we had to finish it kind of after lockdown. So basically the song, as it was kind of the way we played it live and practiced, was all recorded. When I recorded the acoustic guitar with James, we recorded a whole pile of different acoustic tracks. So basically he's got a Yamaha guitar with a pickup. I can't remember what model, but I'll find it and put it on the screen here. And it's the one that has kind of that built-in chorus and reverb effects in it. So I mic'd his guitar just right above the sound hole. So the highest fret basically is where I had the microphone pointed, and I recorded through the pickup. He did a full pass of the song probably 2 or 3 times with a pick and with his fingers. So I had multiple tracks to work with, and then we layered on 4 more extra tracks in the choruses to kind of bring it up. So the process of doing that really is just kind of a symptom of how we're able to record. Traditional thinking is you get the band together for a few days or a week of pre-production, you play the songs, you get everything ready, you decide on parts, etc. You record all of it just to make sure you've got, you remember all those parts. Producer goes away and thinks of some stuff and figures some stuff out. Band comes back into the studio, does the full recording. So it doesn't work that way for everybody, obviously, but it's a lot easier when you can do it that way. What I wanted to do was basically, I needed enough parts to have enough freedom in the mix and the production stuff afterwards, because getting back to re-record things is really hard for us. So that's how we did the acoustic guitar. And then once Eric came over to do the bass, which was last, we basically had the whole song as we practice it in a room done. So Eric and I were sitting here listening to it and just thinking, you know what, it's kind of a copy-paste sounding song. So what I mean by that is verse 1 is exactly the same as verse 2, chorus 1 is exactly the same as chorus 2, and the outro is basically the exact same thing over and over again. So now I'm going to switch kind of into producer mode about how all of those different elements were layered on top of it. So I'm going to break this part down into a few different parts. So the first verse and chorus kind of is low-key, just acoustic guitar as it was played as a full band in the room. And then what happened to change verse 2 and chorus 2 to kind of close the chapter on that part of the song and open the chapter up for the next one. And then in the middle part of the song, how the solo and the bridge build up led into chapter 4, which was the ending in that big kind of explosive chorus. So first I'm just going to play the first verse and the first chorus, but just kind of going into the verse and out of the verse into the chorus so you can hear what the vibe sounds like.
Wake up, see you.
So very simple, very low key, and then when we come out of the first verse and get into the first chorus, that's where the drums and the bass kick in.
Ooh, the things you do.
So the acoustic guitar, all those extra tracks that were recorded was just to lift the first chorus up a little bit. So I'm just going to solo the acoustic guitar and play from the end of the first verse and then through into the chorus. So keeping it low key, just with the acoustic guitar, but having different options so I could start to widen the sound a little bit. And then as we exit the first chorus and go into the second verse, so now it's time to close that chapter and open up a new one, which was kind of the metaphor and the feel that I wanted for this song. So let's go to the end of the first chorus and then into the second verse.
Chance of feel you.
So that extra electric guitar there was actually born by accident. So when Sherry comes over here to record, when we were allowed to go outside, we often warm up just by doing acoustic versions of stuff. And because I couldn't play the song properly, James uses all these like weird inverted chords and awesome phrasings that I call arthritis chords, because I can't, like, my fingers just, it does not compute. So he's just a better guitar player than me, and so I had to dumb it down and just play like regular chords. So we were doing an acoustic version, and I couldn't play it, so I just played something like this. And I thought, okay, well, what would happen if I just layered that on with, like a pushed clean sound? And I actually ended up using the Spark amp for all of the guitars on this, and used the AC Boost patch for it. So just the AC Boost patch, no other pedals, effects, delay, or reverb on it at all. And that's how that part came out. And it just felt like, it just gave it a different kind of feel. So if it was just that same acoustic thing underneath it, it wouldn't really kind of progress the song into the next chapter. And then now, if we get into getting out of the second verse and into the second chorus, the next electric guitar gets layered on top. So let's just take a quick listen to this. So just to add another dimension to give it a little bit of extra thickness, to kind of talk about the second chapter of the song, and then the solo and the bridge is where we get into the next one. So doing the acoustic version in the chorus parts, let's see if I can remember exactly what I played. It was something like... something like that, and it fit in really nicely with the phrasing that James was playing on the regular acoustic. So that stuck around. And then Achilles, when he did a solo part, he did, I think, 3 or 4 different versions of solos to try to figure out, well, what's the feel that we want to have for this solo? And we wanted it to be musical, and we wanted it to take the song from low-key acoustic, mellow, voxy kind of vibe, musically sounding solo, and then when the solo exits and we get into the bridge and the crescendo into the big chorus is to give it kind of a let's go kind of feel, and really launch it into that fourth chapter. So the way that came about, that probably sounds totally nuts, but the way that came about was really the story and the whole point of the song. So the vocals, the lyrics in the chorus is, all alone in your sun song, all your warmth is not done, and you're there, and I'm not scared. So the first couple of chapters of the song is like, I think everything's going to be okay, but I'm not really sure. So we needed a solo that was going to kind of let the person in the song kind of go, I'm ready to let go. And boom, launch it. And yeah, if you're listening this far, Hopefully that doesn't sound too crazy, but thanks if you have watched this far, because this is the stuff that I love, is really the storytelling part of it. And whether this song has 500 views or 10 million, I don't really care. I absolutely love this song. The whole production process that we went through to get this thing released, like we were all just in tears listening to this thing. We just loved it because there was such a huge personal connection to this song for all of us. So, all right, let's get back into the solo. So here's chapter 3, really, of the song. And that's the trigger point in the solo. That's the musical part, the mellowy part is there, and now it's time to just switch the melody of the solo into something that builds it into that bridge that builds up that last exploding chorus. So that whole part basically was after all the vocals were done and everything else was in there and recorded. That transition through the bridge with that crescendo, there was nothing to carry it into that boomy chorus. So that and all of the outro lead vocals, basically texted Sherry in WhatsApp and said, put some stank on it. Just like go totally crazy. Put the song on loop and just keep singing over and over again. So she sent me 6 incredible vocal tracks, and I just picked parts from each of those. I'm not going to go into every one of those things, just the final composite you'll hear with what she came up with. So before getting into chapter 4, like I mentioned, when Eric was here and we finished everything, the harmonies weren't there and the strings weren't there either. So we were listening to it. Let's mute this. And this is what the rest of the song sounded like before that. So as we're coming out of the bridge and as we're going into that final explosive chorus. It kind of gave us that feel, right? It was like you've got this boom, 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 and you're expecting something to happen, and it's just like nothing. So, all right, what can we do? So we recorded 5 or 6 different versions of strings. Eric actually did strings through the whole song, and then I decided to keep it in at the end because I wanted that stepped, let's go through those 4 chapters to launch it into the end. So let's unmute the strings and now listen to it. And it brought that extra to it, but it built up. It was like, weh, but it still didn't have that. So the choruses had the harmony for the lead vox. So I'm going to solo out the lead vocals and the second harmony here.
All you want is not done, and you're there.
And the ending, she's singing a bit of a different melody. So trying to think of, well, what can be something that will fit in there? So I just started playing around with it. it sounded like trying to put a harmony in there just for the sake of having a harmony in there. So then I thought, well, instead of it being one harmony, what if it was 40? And this is kind of a running joke in the band, is whenever we come up with a song, if there's 5 tracks in it, there's going to be 80 in the polished one, because I'm going to add like 10 million vocals on top of it, because that's just, you know, my thing. And a lot of times they get vetoed, but this one it didn't, because it worked. So let's play this to close out the video. I'm going to play this in its entirety, the whole outro, which it's kind of disappointing when you look at stats for stuff, because I look at the YouTube video for this song and most, 40% of people bail out before the end chorus, and they're totally missing out. So let's unmute these and just play this final ending here. So the original ending of the song, it was supposed to stop there, but I ended up just kind of switching it so it looks like the chorus is going to keep looping forever, and it just kind of fades out before the original ending of the song. So with those harmonies, I'm not going to go through all of these. I'm just going to talk about the aspect from the producer perspective, kind of what I was going for with it. So I started with just these short harmonies here. So actually, let me solo these.
All alone, the sun's on. All you want is not done, and you're there. I'm not scared.
So I really wanted the "and you're there" and "I'm not scared" to be enunciated, but it wasn't carrying through the whole thing. It was kind of jittery. So if I play this, if I play just this intro part of this exit chorus and mute everything except for the short harmonies. So I wanted something to carry it all the way through, and added these long harmonies in. So now I'm going to I'll play the whole thing, and then I'll solo just the short and the long harmonies so you can hear how they're mixed. So if I just solo the short and the long harmonies.
Sun's on, all you want is not done, and you're there. I'm not scared.
So the long harmonies are panned hard left and right. The short harmonies are right up the middle. So you can hear the enunciation of the words. And funny thing is, if you actually listen to the short vocal harmonies, I'm not singing the right words, but it doesn't really matter. That'll just be our secret. Odds are nobody's watching this far anyway, but if you are, again, thanks very much. I love this song so much, and I love the aspect of producing to try to bring that story out in the song. And as far as I was concerned with this particular song, if we weren't all bawling our eyes out listening to the end of this, it wasn't good enough. So that was kind of the target. Now, I'm not going to do all of these individual harmonies here. I'll just expand these out for the sake of the project and then just talk about the process of going through these. So anything you see here that is labeled as a dupe is a duplicate of another harmony, but I'm singing it. I sung every single one of these individually. So anything that's a dupe is basically I sang the same part more than once. And for that, this is a trick that is interesting from ZZ Top's Netflix special. So when they were recording, I want to say their first record, the record guy did not want to use any overdubs at all. And so they sent him to the store like 45 minutes away to get some food. And they didn't do overdubs, but what they did is they slightly untuned one of the guitars and then just played the exact same part twice. And that's what gave them such a huge sound from a three-piece. So by singing these things twice, one trick I'll do sometimes is I'll use 100% pitch correction on one vocal track and 0 on the other and pan them totally opposite, far left and far right. And that will really fill in the entire sound. So the long harmonies are giving that stereo wide left and right pan, and the short ones are just the enunciated words. So that was the approach I took. Now again, because I don't have a background in music theory, I've just always been, I think, good at this type of stuff. So when I was doing the harmonies, I would just sing, all alone, your son song, all you want is not done, and you're there, I'm not scared. And then the next one, I should do the same thing, but then go up and down at the ends. So, and you're there, I'm not scared, or go, I'm not scared, and blend all of those in together just to give it that extra element. So it's not consciously sitting here with, I should use the third, the fifth, the seventh, the whatever. It's really just trying to capture that ending and not make it like a copy-paste job. So when I get into the second block of the chorus, there's an extra little harmony that carries it the rest of the way. So I'm going to close off this video just by showing that last part and then the final outro solo that just added a little bit of extra sprinkles on it. So you'll hear the difference in the ending of the second chorus.
All alone, your son song, all you want is not done, and you're there, I'm not scared, nowhere to go but to you.
And then when that wraps up the end with her lead vocals, it just adds a nice little dimension. So one more time just with her vocals and the background vocals.
All alone, your son song, all you want is not done, and you're there, I'm not scared, nowhere to
So all of that, you can even hear if you've got headphones on. If you're listening this far, I know I keep saying that, but I just want to see who's still listening. So if you are, maybe you should get like a free set of steak knives or something. So put a comment in the description, I want my free steak knives or I'm going to sue you, just to mess with other people who are kind of watching the video. So the ending solo was a combination of my solo and the guitar player's solo. My Achilles dude is seriously unreal. I'll put a link to his Instagram in the video as well. He's fantastic. So this was just to carry one extra dimension, and this is the hardest part for me as a producer because, you know, I was born in the 80s with big choruses and lots of high production, and that's just where my brain goes with this type of stuff. So you kind of have to balance what's overproduced versus underproduced. And if you're listening this far and if you've heard the song and you've heard the ending, it might sound like a bunch of overproduced crap to you. I absolutely love the way this thing turned out. But it just seemed like it needed one more thing. You know, the last chorus harmony goes and then there's kind of an empty space in there. So I thought, let's fill that up with one little off in the distance sounding guitar solo. that was the last production element to add to it. All right, so to get in the final wrap up, first of all, if you did watch this far, thank you very much. I know these videos are hard for people to watch the whole thing unless it's like Justin Bieber or something that's popular and that you've heard of. But if you are watching this far, then hopefully you got some insights into what production can do to a song. So when I first heard this song, I heard 7 or 8 different versions of it. I heard this, first of all, I thought, hey, this would be a great country tune. I can already hear some elements of adding some steel guitar and some other things there. I heard a big, huge power rock ballad, which this was kind of on the fringe of that kind of sound. I heard a piano version, an acoustic version with maybe a mandolin and stuff like that. So my production process is basically understand the story and the feel of the song. So some things that I'll do is I'll say, okay, what inspired you to write this? What out there is kind of similar feel-wise and production-wise that you want to get out of this song? As I was adding all these different elements, I send them to James. He wrote the song, and I don't want to screw the song up. So does what I added make it better? Does it make it worse? Et cetera, et cetera. And then as far as the story and the feel, then that would be going back to Sherry. How do you feel singing this? Like, what's your character going through as you're getting into that, that really low key first verse and chorus into that big loud thing at the end? That's where the idea for the bridge came out. So if you didn't watch that part and you're just watching the wrap up, out of the bridge and into the chorus has a feel of, okay, I'm ready. Boom, let it go. So understanding from the lyric standpoint and the feel standpoint, how should the chapters of that story unfold? I probably listened to this easily a few hundred times. So part of the production process for me is when I make a major change, I'll put headphones on, I'll go for a walk and I'll listen to it 15, 16, 17 times in a row, and then just see if that's actually accomplishing that same feel. I'll come back, change some things, add some things, go out for another walk, turn it off for a few days, come back to it, and go, what the hell was I thinking there? Especially with that like awesome CC DeVille lick that I put in at the end. And some of you probably don't even know who he is. But anyway, that's kind of a window into my production. So if you did watch this far, don't forget to claim your free set of steak knives. If you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, then you're going to have to watch the rest of the video to find out how you can get your free set of steak knives. So like and subscribe. I'm going to be doing more of these from bands you've never heard of and songs you've probably never heard. So hopefully it's been valuable. Stay safe wherever you are in the world. I hope you have a fantastic holiday season, and I will see you on the next one.